traditional a cappella stuff is usually 4-part harmony, but there are certainly a lot more than 4 of you here. So how do you guys work around that, or what do you do?
Well, we do a lot of our own arranging. We've had other friends who do some arranging, and with John's willingness to take on percussion, we tend to, about half of our songs have vocal percussion, and then we occasionally double up, but for the most part we are singing anywhere from 4 to 6 parts at a time.
Now, how often do you practice, and how often do you perform?
We try to practice every other week, and we rehearse actually at John's and my house in Acton in our sunroom, hence our CD, the sunroom sessions.
The sunroom sessions.
We have a piano in another room, but we don't rehearse there because it just feels relaxed and comfortable in this sunroom. So we do a lot of laughing and a lot of singing, and we try to rehearse a couple times a month, and gigs whenever we can do them.
Yeah, and when we get closer to gigs, we always practice a lot more.
Right.
Is Jen, do you always direct? Do you direct the group in performance, or?
Nope. I would say, like Wendy just said, for the solos, a lot of the rehearsing happens, it's a group effort, so it's not me leading things, and I don't conduct. Nobody conducts. I don't think a cappella groups should have conductors. I don't think it's necessary, although they do exist. And I think we all take turns on saying this would help this piece, this would not help this piece.
So you just give a pitch at the beginning of the song, and then
we go. Yeah. So it depends. You know, if we're rehearsing something, we're all musicians on some level. We've all been in performances, and so we can figure out how to rehearse it and clean something up, etc.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I sang in college in an a cappella group that was 12 or 14 of us. One of the really nice things about this group is we're small, and I think I think when you have 12 or 14 people, then there becomes the need to kind of keep everybody on track. We always hear each other. We're small enough that we can really kind of self-direct ourselves, and that's one of the great things I think about the group.
Well, I think that says it all. Maybe from there, we would love to hear you sing.
Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, you irreplaceable you. Just one look at you, my heart grows tipsy in me. You and you alone bring out the gypsy in me. I love all the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby. Come to Papa, do. My sweet embraceable you. My sweet embraceable you. Walk down that lonesome road all by yourself. Don't turn your head back over your shoulder, and only stop to rest yourself when the silver moon is shining high above the trees. If I had stopped to listen once or twice, if I had closed my mouth and opened my eyes, if I had cooled my head and warmed tonight. Carry on, never mind feeling sorry for yourself. It doesn't save you from your troubled mind. Walk down that lonesome road all by yourself. Don't turn your head back over your shoulder, and only stop to rest yourself when the silver moon is shining high above the trees.
Hi and welcome to Music Peace Theater. I'm Craig Vandera, and I thought I'd start this segment with a little quiz. You ready? All right, here we go. A cappella is an Italian phrase meaning A, singing without instruments, B, in the manner of the church, or C, I have linguini in my lederhosen. You ready? Here's the answer. Here it comes. If you said C, I have linguini in my lederhosen, you'd be absolutely wrong. But you have a good sense of humor. If you chose B, a cappella is an Italian phrase meaning in the manner of the church, you would be absolutely correct. And as the name would indicate, a cappella as a musical style does indeed have its musical roots stemming from the early Christian church of the 15th century. Now, I'm sure people were singing together prior to that, but I have no proof of that. But that's where the roots of the musical style and indeed come from. Nowadays, the term a cappella encompasses many different varieties of vocal-only music, including anything from barbershop, doo-wop, all the way up to modern rock and pop music. Now, in addition to just singing, vocalists will also mimic the sound of instruments, most commonly things like bass and drums, which is also called beatboxing. Now, one form of a cappella that's become increasingly popular in recent memory is collegiate a cappella. In fact, I was down the Cape a few years ago with my family, and I saw a group perform there called the Hyannis Sound. And if you ever get a chance to see them, they're terrific. But it got me to thinking that, man, there's probably a lot of college groups out there, and indeed there are. Since 1980, the number of college a cappella groups has quadrupled from 300 to nearly 1,200 around the world. 1,200. These college a cappella groups usually perform with 8 to 16 members, unlike the professional groups, which are usually around 4 to 7, but there's no exact science with those numbers, but typically that's what you'll find. Now, many of these college groups actually compete in a competition. It's called the International Championship of Collegiate A Cappella, or ICCA, which is an annual nationwide competition where groups compete and advance through several stages of competition. The live performances of a cappella occasionally also incorporate comedy, which is probably something I should incorporate in this show. In addition to comedy, they also incorporate choreography, which is something I won't be incorporating in this particular show. And here's something interesting that I found out. Have you ever heard of the term arch sing?
No.
Now,
Me neither. But it's interesting. The term arch sing refers to a type of casual public a cappella performance that's typically held in an archway for reasons of acoustics and shelter from the weather. No, not the St. Louis arch. That's a little big. Think like, you know, an arch from at an old college building, for example, like an entryway. So, if you ever happen to be on a campus and you come across a bunch of college students who are singing in Archway, you can impress your friends and family and say, do you know what that is? That's an arch sing. That's it for this week's segment. Thanks for joining us. For Music Piece Theater, I'm Craig Vanderon. And remember, support local music. Be local music.
Doom 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 doom
Making music with the Acton Music Project. Making music with the Acton Music Project. Making music with the Acton Music Project.
Yeah. We could only memorize one line. And we gave it a stage.